Hi, I'm Kristen with an E, and this is Talk with Kristen with an E, a place to slow down, be honest without having all the answers, and feel a little less alone together. Let's talk it out. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is another one of, I hope, your favorite guests because she's mine. Hi, Emily.
Hey, Kristen.
Hey, we're so glad to have you back. Although I feel like every time you come back, we are just talking these deep topics, like ones that I know everybody experiences, and sometimes they can be hard when you're in the stage and sometimes hard to talk about it. But what are we talking about today?
We are talking about burnout and hidden burnout.
Is there a difference?
I think there's just a slight difference.
Okay, well, I'm excited about this one then.
Well, do you want to jump right in?
Yeah, I want you to tell me what the difference is.
I personally think a burnout is like when you notice somebody to start withdrawing, and then hidden burnout is when they're still functioning, but they feel the dread of performing their tasks that they're supposed to be doing.
Okay, so have you experienced burnout or hidden burnout, and or which one do you experience more?
Personally, I experience hidden burnout more because of that always wanting to be viewed as perfect and please others. But regular burnout is always there where you just kind of want to get through the day and go home and snuggle up on the couch really quick.
Right. And do you think one of them is more detrimental to you?
I would say probably hidden burnout because others don't know that you just need a little bit of a break.
Well, and I think too, because it's almost more effort to try to cover it up.
Yeah.
It's almost harder because you're covering it up. So you're like burnout and then almost on top, like burnout on top of that, because now you're burnout of trying to hide your burnout.
Masking your emotions.
Yes. Yeah. And then it's so much more. So can you share an example where someone or you was successfully out? You were successful outward, but you were struggling internally. So that hidden burnout piece.
That hidden burnout hits me a lot at the end of my year. So I matched the school year. So starting in August, ending in May. And when we're closing that gap in May, it's like, oh my gosh, we're like at the home stretch and everything is piling up and, projects are hitting the floor and the dancers are ready to go and we're prepping for a new season. So we're closing a season and opening a season all at the same time. And we're just really looking to, make it to the end.
And how do you do that?
I want to say I handle it pretty well. And I try to get out the general information out early. So stuff for the following season, I lightly say, hey, this is what's coming. This is what's going to come next. And we just make it through what needs to be made through each week. And then detailed information can come out closer to the time that it actually needs to be out.
Right. So can you identify hidden burnout in others?
I see it in a lot of my dancers and a lot of kids who are doing multiple sports or multiple clubs. They seem almost forgetful, but it's not in a messy way. So they're not forgetting their equipment or what they should be doing. It's more just a frazzled internal oh, I should be doing this. Oh, I need to be doing this. Oh, and it's oh, you're reaching that stage where I think we just need to take a breath and we need to step away from whatever is causing you that.
Well, and I think I've seen it in myself, the frazzled part, and then it's almost like a distracted thing too. You can't actually focus on what you're doing because your mind's on different things. And it's you just end up being so spent. I explain it emotionally drained. And I feel sometimes you don't recognize when you are coming up to that burnout because especially, talking about high functioning burnout, that means you are still functioning very well, firing on all cylinders, doing everything you're supposed to. And especially like the more and more you're doing to keep it going, it's almost like your adrenaline keeps pumping and you don't realize. And then all of a sudden, when you do come down, it's like worse than regular burnout. Like you're just
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I reach that, like, I call it my summer guilt.
Mm.
So, even though I've started preparing for, like, August, and I'm ending in May and I'm preparing for that following August, well, June and July, I like to take my summer off and I
Hmm.
like to, be with my family and things like that. And then it's in that back of my mind, like, hey, it's creeping up. It's getting closer. And although I've relaxed, now it's like, okay, the procrastination is building
Hmm.
and I don't want to do it. And then now here we are at crunch time and it's the end of July, beginning of August, and we need to have schedules out and everybody needs to be notified and students need to be getting their stuff together so that classes can be ready, and I need to start prepping new warm-ups, new playlists, new, across the floors, everything that needs to be done to like kick off the first week of class.
It's overwhelming.
And then it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just jump right in and it feels like you didn't have a break at all.
Hmm.
I think even on a smaller scale for me, that's what Sundays feel like. They talk about Sunday
Yeah.
scaries and it's like all of a sudden it's the last day of your weekend when you should be able to enjoy it, but already your brain is thinking like, okay, so on Monday I've got to do this. I wonder if I got that email. Did I remember to do this? Like your brain is already going through all the things where it's like you're almost burnout before you get to work because you just build up all the stuff, kind of like you were saying, you think about all the things you need to do, but you aren't actually doing them. And it's just like gets you to
Yep.
spiral.
And Sundays, like you said, are supposed to be that like final day of relaxing.
Day of
But
rest.
if I can do more on Sunday to make my week a little bit easier, let's go ahead and try to get as much done.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is, I used to do that when I first got into like real planning. I'd have my planner and every Sunday I would like get my stickers out and my little how I was going to decorate for my weekly layout. And I
Mhm.
do all this stuff. And it was like a good way for me to reset kind of like, and almost look forward to something like, or I would do like a couple weeks at a time, like, oh, and I have this coming up. And there's something about doing activities with your hands that can like get your mind off of other things and kind of deal with any of that anxiety that you have coming up. I know we're talking burnout, but I think there's parts of anxiety that probably play into burnout also. Like, have you noticed increased anxiety when you're dealing with burnout?
Yeah, I would say that I don't know, I feel like most people nowadays say like they have anxiety and it's a hard to like
Hmm.
pinpoint why. So talking about that kind of just seems, oh, I have anxiety. Well, so does everybody.
Right.
But
Nothing special
yeah,
about you.
like you don't get to be special anymore. But I have anxiety of like not getting it done almost, even though I know I will. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
No,
hard.
I agree that anxiety is kind of
Like
like, is
looming.
anxiety a fear? Like if I'm afraid of something, am I
Yeah.
anxious? As like, if I'm stressed, am I anxious? Like it feels like a word that kind of covers a lot of it. Like, oh, I'm anxious about it. Oh, I've got anxiety. Oh, like, and maybe it's something else. And who really knows? Well, and before we get too far into this, I do want to, I looked up some of the symptoms of burnout or the like reliability burnout is what we were calling it. But like, so it says burnout isn't always dramatic. Some of the subtler research supported signs include, and tell me if you've had any of these: emotional exhaustion and withdrawal. Burnout often manifests first as emotional exhaustion and withdrawal, even when performance at work still looks solid. People may start feeling numb, flat, or disconnected, even though they continue to get things done. Emotional exhaustion is one of the core components of burnout in psychological research, with depersonalization and reduced personal accomplishment being the others. So, what I want to do, if we can, if you're okay with it, is go through these subtle signs and then talk about how we've experienced said subtle signs. Have you experienced emotional exhaustion and withdrawal?
Yes.
Would you like to expound on that?
So I a lot of times will just be like, I just need a moment alone. Just a
Mm-hmm.
moment alone to kind of collect my thoughts. And it's not even to just like decompress for a second, but it's just to be like, what is going on in my life to where I just need a break to sort out the stuff that's piled up.
Yeah, so that you don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like you need to stop and think
And it's
about
like,
it.
So that's like kind of what my planner is for, is just like a to-do list.
Mhm.
And it's used to be a fun thing to where like I like did the color coordinating
Yep.
pens and everything. That's too much for me. I can't do the color coordinating and the everything like that. So it's my to-do list, and then I like the checking,
Yeah.
things off.
Feeling you've accomplished something.
But it's like when that list gets so long, it's like I don't want to do anything. I don't want to see anybody. I just want to stay in my house. And and it's not even like a physical withdrawal. Sometimes it's like that internal withdrawal where I'm just like sitting inside myself. Like I'm sitting here and
Mhm.
it's passing by me.
Yeah. No, and I think this one is the one that I've experienced, like you said, but even more. So it's no secret, season 2 did not turn out the way it wanted to. And I think a lot of it is because this is where I was, the emotional exhaustion. There was a lot of things going on in my personal and professional life last fall that, like, I felt so exhausted from it. Like I didn't have the energy to do anything. And the withdrawal, like even it may have been borderline depression for a little while too, because even activities that I enjoyed weren't fun anymore. Like I remember specifically, I don't know if you could tell it or not, there was one night at dance. I was not into it at all. And like, I love your dance class. And like, it doesn't matter what kind of day I have, I go, I'm happy. Cause again, you're working out. Endorphins make you happy. I felt like I was a shell of myself. Like I didn't feel anything. I was so withdrawn. And it was like, it was bad. Like it got really bad towards, late October, early November. And it was like, I didn't want to be around people. I didn't
Mm.
want to talk to people. Like I just felt like I was shutting down,
Yeah.
which was totally burnout.
Yeah. I had that the end of like or like November, December
Mm-hmm.
for me. And just like I was in like watching my day to day from like the inside of myself,
Yes.
but not like through my lens of every day. Like it was very blurred kind of lens.
Yeah. And it's funny you said from the inside because I was going to say from the outside. Like it was like I watched myself going through all the motions.
Mm-hmm.
There I am getting up. There I am going to work. There I am doing my job. Like, but I didn't feel like I was actively participating in my own life. Like it just
Yeah.
felt like it was going through the motions.
Yeah, I felt more like trapped inside myself.
Okay. Which I think they're both very
Yeah.
like that's burnout.
And I feel like you said, almost like a bordering depression for a little while, because like the holidays just didn't seem like the
Mm-hmm.
holidays. Thanksgiving and Christmas just was another day.
Yes.
Like there wasn't anything special about it.
Right.
And so kind of looking back on that now, like so long ago,
Right.
but like looking back on it, it's kind of scary that you just kind of withdraw from reality, and whether
Mhm.
people notice or not, that was the reality you were living.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like the fun things just weren't
Yeah.
as fun.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
So another subtle sign is a reduced sense of achievement. Even high performers may begin to feel that accomplishments no longer satisfy them, a sense that success feels hollow or less meaningful. This is a noted dimension in the Messiah framework of burnout.
I would agree with that. There are times when you set a goal and it's just another check on the list, and there's
Mhm.
other times where it feels like the weight off your shoulders.
Yes, but I don't. It's definitely the reduced sense. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's almost like, well, I'm glad that's over. Like you
Mhm.
can't even appreciate what you
Like reaching
accomplished.
the goal.
Yeah, because you're like, all right, good. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Like
Yeah.
you said, it's just a check in the box or crossing it off, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Because something that should give you pride or make you feel something, just you feel nothing because, and that's what I think. I think burnout itself is almost like a numbness,
Mhm.
like you're going through the motions, which we kind of said, but it's almost like you don't feel anything.
Yeah.
It's not positive. It's not negative. You just,
I liked in the definition that you had, it was flat,
yeah.
because everybody always says like, oh, I was so numb to that. I was numb to that. And I've never resonated with that. Like I've never quite understood that, but that, well, I just felt flat. Like you think of like a fizzled out soda.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
not what it should be.
Right.
And that's kind of how life feels sometimes. Like, well, like my job doesn't feel like it should feel.
Yeah. Like it's not bubbly anymore. Like
Mhm.
I've got all this syrup, but nothing is bubbly.
Yeah.
Oh my
So it's
gosh,
like
I love
all
that.
of the weight of your life. So all of the syrup of the soda
Yes.
with none of the fun and the happy, none of the bubbles.
You just came up with like such an amazing analogy.
Crack the code.
Like, yeah, yes. So how do we get our bubbles back? How do we
Yes.
get fizzy? That's what we're going to get to. But we'll go through a
Mhm.
couple more of these signs first and see if you've had any of these other ones too. So cognitive strain or detachment. Ooh, I feel like this one's kind of going to be like the withdrawal one.
Mhm.
Studies show that people experiencing burnout sometimes report feeling mentally foggy, unmotivated, or unable to enjoy problem solving, even while they can technically perform tasks. This reflects a kind of internal strain that's easy to overlook. I don't know that, I'm sure I've had that. I can't think of any
That's
examples.
It's very close, I would say, to like the withdrawal one.
Mm-hmm.
But like we call it costume season at the studio, where I personally order like everything that the studio needs for like costuming. And then it all gets delivered to my house and I have to sort it all.
You don't get it delivered to the studio?
I get it delivered to my home address so that somebody is there to get it.
Oh, wow.
So then I have to like sort through all the boxes and like label it out for each, dancer, each family then gets, this many dancers in this family, so all of the things. And I would say a lot of fogginess for everything else then, because like I'm focused on that task. And then it's like I still have to teach and run my business and still work while I'm doing that.
Oh my gosh. That sounds overwhelming.
So it's
Just
like the
wow.
balance.
I don't know why I've never thought about that before. Like costumes show up and you give them out, but like you're right, because they don't have names on them when they come. So you've got to go back and look at which student, which size, which class. Like,
And this year I ordered tights too, and
I know
that was so fun.
that was a bold move.
Yeah. But hey, not everybody has everything in one go and in one spot.
Yes. And hopefully it still fits them.
Hopefully everyone has them.
It doesn't lose them between now and then. All right. Oh, this one. I think this one's going to be good because this was a term that got really big like last year, the year before. Quiet cracking, disengagement without quitting. Newer workplace research describes a trend called quiet quitting. I think we have heard of this. Or they said quiet cracking, quiet quitting. Persistent disengagement and internal unhappiness with work that doesn't immediately show up in objective performance metrics. Roughly 20% of U.S. workers reported they experience this frequently, with another 34% occasionally, suggesting this invisible drip of burnout is widespread.
I would say personally, I don't think I've experienced that.
Well, I don't know that you can quiet quit when you're like the almost the sole employee at the studio. I have. So not necessarily quiet quit, but there have been times where I am definitely less motivated. Like I will keep, people may not notice because I'm still putting out the same quality work that I usually would, or, doing whatever, but I am definitely less motivated by it. I am less willing to go the extra mile or do extra work where it's like, okay, this is what you need. This is what you get. Like
a bare minimum almost.
Yes. And I think that definitely has happened and is probably a sign of burnout. All right. I think this is the last one on my list right now. And it's funny because this goes back to your soda analogy. Emotional flatness or cynicism. People may begin to suppress reactions, become less empathetic towards others, or withdraw socially while still showing up. Emotional labor research shows that managing or suppressing emotions long term can fuel this depletion. Discuss.
Yeah, I think, again, that one's pretty close, I feel like, to the withdrawal one, though, too. Where it's like, I just feel like you're either like, you're just getting enough out for the day to day to show up.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what I love about the showing up. It says withdraw socially while still showing up. To me, that's like, okay, I'm still going out with my friends,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to be as engaged. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be there, I'll be at the table, I'll enjoy, you know, the apps and snacks with them, but
Mhm.
like, I'm not going to be
Like the deep conversations and stuff
right.
like that.
Or even like we talked about earlier, it's almost like either you're trapped inside and you're just there observing it, or like you're from afar and it's like you're
Mhm.
watching somebody else there. I think that's definitely happened too.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have had that, I would say professionally, just not being in like, able to dig deeper and, like, have it's more of a no nonsense day, like, "Alright, guys, this is what we're doing, and
Hmm.
here's the as much as I can give you." And then personally too, like, with friends.
Hmm. But that was going to be
But
my next
that's
question. I was going to ask you, how does your hidden burnout show up in relationships, work performance, or self perception?
yeah, I would say, um, like, in relationships, you might have, like, a shorter, like, conversation with people. It's bare minimum the yeses and the nos. And then patience, I think, is very dwindled in that aspect.
So that you're like less patient with other
Mhm.
people.
I saw a TikTok actually that this, I guess the husband had not a great day at work and he came in, he's like, "My love is not patient or kind today."
I love that.
Okay.
Hey, at least there's a warning. Like
Yeah.
there's expectations. I have done that with my husband before too. If I'm driving home, I'm like, it wasn't a good day at work. Like,
Mhm.
just, I don't want to talk about it. Just wasn't a good day.
Yeah.
And as a good husband, then he's like, should we just go get pizza for dinner? Yes, because carbs makes everything better.
They do. The best comfort food.
Right? Pizza or like mashed potatoes,
A potato of any form.
right? Or like a pastry of almost like give me like a honey bun or a cinnamon roll, warm it up a little bit. Like that's like a cozy little
Perfect.
hug, right? That's probably part of the cure for burnout actually is pizza and potatoes and cinnamon rolls.
You could try it.
I know, right? That's if I were a doctor, that's what I would prescribe to people. Have you tried pizza? Have you
Doesn't
eaten
that
a
make you
really
feel
good
better?
honey bun lately? How about some potatoes? Do you like potatoes? Who doesn't like potatoes?
They come in all forms.
That's true. And I've yet to find a potato I didn't like. So eat potatoes. Oh my gosh, what were we talking about? Oh, okay. So we're talking about kind of this hidden burnout, or you're still high performing, you've got a little bit. How does it differ from classic burnout for you? Like, can you tell if you're in classic burnout or hidden burnout, or how do they differ?
Classic burnout, I just feel like a little bit more of like irritation almost.
Oh, okay.
Like it's just it's just more irritating to do the tasks. Whereas the hidden burnout is like, or I guess that's really opposite. I guess the hidden is like I feel more irritated and like everybody else might not see that, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel that.
Yes.
And then the burnout might be like more of I don't know, because
Now we're confusing.
now
I
we're
will say,
confusing them.
I like where you're going with that though, about you feeling
Like
it, because I
I
feel,
feel it.
yes,
Yeah.
like I feel like when I am burnout or even overstimulated because of stress or anxiety, like everything bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sound of my husband chewing, or like the bass on my son's music, like everything like wouldn't normally bother me
Mm-hmm.
becomes like heightened in me. And I'm like super sensitive to like all
Yeah.
these things that are like, that's bothering me. This is bothering me. Cause it's like, I think my mental capacity to deal with minor
Mm-hmm.
irritants is like
Gone.
everything is just, yes.
Yeah.
Like the tiniest things are like overwhelming and I cannot deal with it.
Yeah. So I would say maybe that's more of the hidden burnout is like
Right.
I have reached my point and
Yeah.
now everything is like irritating. And I would say the classic burnout would be just more of the like needing to slow down
Mm-hmm.
and more of the like I just the moment of alone almost. Like I
Yeah.
just need that moment to kind of collect myself and I can come back into the room or I can come back to the conversation. And then that hit and burnout is you've reached that like tipping point almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause I was going to say for me, real burnout, I've already checked out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care what's going on. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. And like that hidden burnout where you're still trying to
It's
like
like,
function, like, I can't stop. All of this.
Yeah.
Ugh. So, can reliability or success become a trap where people feel they can't slow down without consequences?
Personally, I feel that because it all does ride on me. Like, my whole job rides on me, which I feel a little bit less responsible for things now after doing it for a couple years. Um, but I would say the people who are in those like important roles that like only certain things are going to happen because of them finishing them or them reaching them, um, that they probably deal with that probably every day.
Oh, yeah, I
Like,
can, go ahead and finish.
well, I want to bring up like you were saying like a stay-at-home mom versus like a
Mhm.
working mom. They both are responsible for their children, but responsible for your home, responsible for your job, like all of that stuff builds up.
Mhm. Well, and I think too, in certain fields, there's people that feel that their job is so important that if they don't do it, like things would fail. And there
Mhm.
are some, like obviously, if you're an ER surgeon, if you're a fireman, fire person, like there's jobs that if you fail, there are consequences. But I
Mhm.
think sometimes a lot of that, again, fear of failure is man made, like it's in your head. Like if you don't do something at your job, there actually may be no negative consequences,
Yeah.
but you build it up in your head like, oh my gosh, but if I don't show up, but if I don't do this, then I'm going to fail, or they're going to think I'm not a good worker, or I'm going to get in trouble, or they're not going to like me, or they're not going to promote me, or they're not going to like blah, 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 all the
Mhm.
things. And so much of it is made up, which I think actually adds to the burnout because none of it's real. It's these scenarios the people build in their heads thinking about it. And I think that like once you can get past that I'm not that important. You are, Emily, because you are, owner, manager, choreographer, like you're all the things, right? But like at a lot of other places, nobody cares. I remember, I think it was my aunt that said a few years ago to me, she said, they will have your job posted before your obituary is posted. Like
Mhm.
most people are not that important at work. And if you don't do something or it's not done, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think once I finally got that through my head, like if I don't do this right now, nothing's going to happen.
Mhm.
It's going to be fine. It completely changed my outlook at work. That's why this year I'm all about peace over chaos because it's more about taking that time and thinking things through and taking the time to do things so you don't get burnout, so you can build in those pauses. Kind of like you said, you want to walk 30 minutes every day. You want to take that little break in between classes to check your mail or check in with people, whatever it
Mhm.
is. Building those times to take those breaks and having set times, I think can help with the burnout. I know we're not yet talking to like the burnout solution part,
Yeah.
but I think it's important for people, especially the high performing ones, to be able to give themselves grace and take that space. Thoughts?
Yeah. I think that goes into like what we kind of touched on before we started recording of giving people the room to make the mistake because just because you think it's a mistake doesn't mean it actually is. So also taking breaks. You need to take that break. So that's where back to where I was like I don't feel as guilty not doing certain things. It'll still get done
Hmm.
eventually.
Yeah.
So whether we do it today or we do it next week, it'll be fine. So another thing like that just popped in my brain is the lack of planning on your part does not
Yes.
constitute an emergency on my part.
Yes.
Don't know who said that, but genius. Because working face to face with somebody and providing like a service for somebody, a lot of times they think this is dire and like they
Mm-hmm.
need it to be done now. Well, in my line of emergencies, that is very low.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see like back to somebody who works a multiple person job, somebody else might just pick up that
Yeah.
task that you are not being that you cannot fulfill today.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else is probably going to pick it up or it'll be there tomorrow when you come in.
Yep. Well, along with that, your failure is not an emergency on my part kind of
Mhm.
thing. So peace over chaos is my mantra for the year, but the subtitle that goes with it is your problem is not my problem. Because there's one thing when you're the go-to person at work, that's great. Like especially for like, recovering people pleasers who love
Mhm.
validation and approval. It's great when people know they can come to you for everything. Oh, Kristen will get it done. Oh, we'll go to Kristen. Kristen will know the answer. It's a great feeling until it's too much.
Mhm.
And then you're like, people leave me alone. Do your own jobs. I don't want to do your work for you. And so that was part of this year too, is me putting more of those boundaries up and saying, you know, not saying that's not my job, but saying, hey, I'm not the right person for that, but let me get you to the person who
Mhm.
is. Or, hey, I'd be happy to help you with that, but I'm going to have to get these things done first. So I won't be able to get it to you until next Tuesday. Does that work for you? Like it's putting those boundaries up. But the part you said before that I wanted to go back to for a minute is how you said that people need to have the space to try and fail. And that's another thing I've been working on is because I feel like sometimes as a supervisor, I've supervisor for probably like a decade or so, and trying to like take care of people and like you don't want them to fail, like
Mhm.
you want them to do it, but if they're not going to get it done, like okay, well
Like
this isn't
coaching
how
them
I'll do it,
along.
yeah, like or fixing it for them, right? Like
Mhm.
oh, I'll just fix it, it's fine. Like I'll tell them to get it right the next time. People need to fail. And I then when I became a supervisor of supervisors, that's what I was telling my branch chiefs. Like, hey, don't keep covering for this employee who's clearly not cutting it. Like sometimes people need to fail so they can learn, which
Mhm.
is ironic because I won't let myself fail. But I'm all about other people failing so that they can learn the lessons. And also as a parent, and we see this a lot, and I can say this because I'm a millennial, exennial parent of a Gen Alpha kid who like gets everything he wants. His life is fairy tales and butterflies. He's got to learn to like deal with some bad stuff sometime too because we can't keep fixing it for them. And so you need to let your children fail, you need to let your peers fail, you need to let people fail so they can learn to build that resiliency and come back up because I think resiliency is one of the antidotes for burnout.
I want to add to that by
Yes.
saying a lot of burnout at my job for myself comes from my students trauma dumping on me or what
Really?
they think is like so traumatic in their life or something
Ah.
that's so important I need to know now. So I
Mhm.
handle it two different ways. Sometimes it is, and I need to like, okay, let me know. So in case I need to tell another trusted adult, like your
Mhm.
parent or somebody at school, I can, notify
Right.
whoever. And sometimes they just need to get it out. So I'll just listen. Sometimes it's not the time.
Mhm.
And you're just gonna have to deal with that. And sometimes that's just how life is. And the other thing is I really like when you bring up, you're not gonna step in and talk to your son's teachers for them
Oh,
because
yeah.
he's
I am happy to
he's
talk about that for a minute, but
capable
go
of
ahead.
doing
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
And that's where I feel like I have parents who come to me and they're like, well, little Susie is just having some issues at dance class. And could you take care of that? Little Susie could tell me, and then
Mhm.
I can take care of that
Mhm.
because sometimes that is too much. So, between getting it from the student's perspective, because it's sometimes dance related, it's sometimes life related, or, they just want
Mhm.
to kind of offload the
Mhm.
stress of being a teenager.
Yep.
I'll sit and listen. And then sometimes it's the actual adult coming in and being like, you need to address this situation. Like, well, I didn't know there was a situation
Mhm.
because your student isn't, notifying me
Right.
when it's happening.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's kind of, in some circles and businesses, chain of command, like you go up the chain to get, and
Hmm.
I feel like that's where it is. And so my son's in seventh grade now, which is, basically an adult by his terms. And if you need to learn that responsibility. And yes, I'm not there to fight your battles. I have not sent an email to any of his teachers this year. I don't think I did last year either. I can't remember. Because it's on him. Like, dude, if your assignment is missing, I'm not the one that didn't turn it in. I'm not the one that lost. Like you
Hmm.
talk up to your teacher about it. And obviously, if it ever became to a place where it was an issue, then I would. But at the same time, kind of like you said with the student telling their parent, we all know that what the student's telling the parent, what the student's telling the teacher may not be the same thing. And that's fine. Like they've got to figure that out on their own. But
Yeah.
I'm also not going to, because I don't know what's going on in the classroom. Like, so why would I come to a teacher and be like, you're doing this to my student and I can't believe it when I'm not there. So, but I also, recovering people pleaser, I don't want teachers to think that I don't care either, because I know, I have some teachers friends and I know there's some that are like, oh, this parent, they're checked out. They're not involved, whatever. Like, I'm involved. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so at the school district, they have a parent portal where you can go on. If anybody thinks I'm not in that portal at least 2 to 3 times a day to see if my kid ate lunch, if he got grades posted, and the daily announcements, because I need to also know, whose birthday it is and what, I don't need to know that. But, it's like I'm very involved from afar,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel like I need to be engaged in his life.
Yeah.
So, but I do think it's that kind of way, even beyond a parent, student, teacher. I think in the business world, there's stuff that you can be aware of that you don't need to get involved in. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to be a part of all the office drama. You don't
Yeah.
need to be in every time there's a crisis, you don't need to be the one to jump in and try to fix it.
Yeah.
So, and I think that all adds on to burnout, because I think sometimes the more you put on your plate, the more there's only so much you can take.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to know where your breaking points are so that you can kind of deal with the burnout before it tips the scale. In season 1, I think it might have been my most listened to episode. It was the one about your buckets, and it was like burnout buckets and knowing when your buckets are too full and when you have to take a break and kind of let some out of your bucket so that you don't overflow. And it's kind of like that. Like, you've got to know your boundaries. Now, are you able in your life to sense when burnout is creeping out? Like, are you able to mentally be like, hey, I'm getting close to my breaking point, I need to take a break? Or are you in it and then you're like, oh crap, wait, I think I need a moment?
I really started noticing it, that I had this like burnout. And of course, the first probably 2 times that I experienced it, I was like, I don't know what that is. I
Mhm.
never want to go through that
Right?
again. And then you hear about it and you're like, oh, okay. So it's just a very overwhelming feeling of being done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's more than being done. And the first couple times it happened, I was in it. I was like, okay, we're quitting everything. Life is on hold.
Yeah.
Like, no social events, no nothing. And now I do recognize some signs where it's like, how we talked about earlier, like almost like that anxiety, like building.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, why do I feel like this?
Mm-hmm.
Why is my to-do list so long?
Mm-hmm.
And what can I get rid of?
Yeah.
Because that's my first thing, is like, this doesn't need to be done. This doesn't be done. This isn't my problem. This is somebody else's problem. And a lot of times that happens from students or adults bringing me things and being like, well, this is what's going on. Okay, you just want somebody to listen to you. I don't need to fix your problems. Like,
Yes.
that's something I have had to learn in the last couple of years. But stepping away, like looking at it from a different view, like really brings it like, wow, you're close to that like tipping point.
So, can we go back to your soda analogy for a minute? I'm going to take it a step further. This is going to be so good. So, you were talking about like, kind of like the pressure keeps building and you can kind of feel it bubbling up in you. So, I picture like somebody's got a bottle of soda, shaking it, and like the pressure is building up in it, right? And it's becoming more and more, like there's more bubbles, it's getting more and the ways to resolve it are like you mentioned, you can relieve the pressure, like you kind of take something out of it. Okay, so that's when you open the bottle a little bit, you gotta go psh, little it up, it doesn't explode, you let enough out. But the other thing you said is sometimes you just need to take a step back and just kind of sit there and just wait, which if you put the bottle down and just leave it, the bubbles will settle again. So soda is burnout. If you leave it, like it can be flat and you're just got all the heavy syrup, and you can be shook up and you get all the pressure, but there's ways to relieve the pressure and sit and let it pass.
Love it.
This is genius. We are so good at this. We've solved it. Well, we haven't solved anything actually. We've just found a way to like describe it.
Hopefully somebody's understanding us.
Oh, for sure, because obviously we're brilliant. And let's see what else. Ooh, Can reliability or success become a trap where people feel they can't slow? Oh, this is a question we just did.
Mhm.
Never mind. It's a great question. We could have gone through it again. All right. So we just talking about how can we notice burnout before it escalates? I think that's kind of what we were talking about too. All right. So what small practices can help restore presence and energy while still honoring responsibilities?
Well, I feel like it's repetitive, but taking that break
Mm-hmm.
and kind of looking at your to-do list or the things that are causing you that anxiety to build up, maybe it's time to start delegating a couple of tasks. Because there are some things that, even if it's just I need to move a box from point A to point B and it needs to be done, but it's the last thing I want to do, somebody else can probably do it for you. Personally, this year and last year, it was around Christmas. Well, it was between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I decorate the studio for
I
the
was wondering if
holidays.
you were going to bring this example up. I love this. Go on.
And last year, I was like, I'm not putting the Christmas tree up. Well, of course, one of my groups came in and they were like, "Where's the tree? All the other decorations are up." And I was like, "I'm just not going to do it this year." Well, they were so upset that I just handed them the box and I let them decorate it. They put the tree up. It was great. They put the ornaments on it. After they left, I went over and I moved all the ornaments so that they could be like spaced out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it was fine. I could have totally left it. This year, I got to that point again. I was like, there's just so much going on in like my personal life and in like my business life that I'm not putting the tree up. So they just got it out and they put it up themselves. And this year, I just left it how they did it. I didn't move any of the ornaments, I didn't move any of the decorations. And I was like, that's something that it made them happy to put it up. It made me happy for it to be put up, and I didn't have to do it. And I was able
Yep.
to finish another task while they were doing that. And then something that we've talked about before is setting a timer or like an hour of like scheduled out time. So like I'm scheduling this time out to do X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
But this hour I'm not doing anything related to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, time blocking. I love
Yeah.
it. From your tree example though too, all it made me think I was like, look at you, Miss Emily, letting go of some of the control and trusting others. And that's huge because I think especially for high performers that deal with burnout, they're okay, I can only speak for myself, but I have some controlling issues.
Mhm.
I need to be in control. And I think that's part of it too, is that if I'm not in control, then what's going to happen?
Mhm.
And that builds up the anxiety. And then I do more to gain control or get control back, which then feeds more into it to the burnout. And it's this whole vicious cycle. So when you can let go of some of that control and trust other people, that's huge growth because it's hard. Like, this year, maybe not as much, but last year you mentioned, having to move the ornaments around because it's one thing to trust somebody and say, oh, sure, go ahead and do that. But to trust and let go enough to leave it is harder. And kind of like we were saying too about not letting people fail. Oh, yeah, you can let somebody do this task, but if it's not done quite right, you still might go back and like
Mhm.
fix it. But we need to trust people to do the thing and let go of some of the control.
Yep. Another aspect that has changed for us this year is for 7 years, I owned and operated the studio all on my own, all of the classes, all of the planning, all of the business. And at the end of last season, I was like, I should start bringing somebody in. So this year, we have a second hand in the studio, a great teacher. She's teaching a whole night of classes. And that was really scary for me to
Mm-hmm.
let somebody else just totally do it. But I had the confidence in her that she would take it in the direction that I would take it.
Mm-hmm.
And so letting her just completely have control over that hour that she teaches them that night, that was big.
Well, and I think even if she went in a direction that you wouldn't have, I don't necessarily know that would be a bad thing. Like not having her do something outside of what the kind of the values of the
Mhm.
studio are. But I think sometimes when you can get people's perspective that's different from you, you can actually grow and learn something else. Because I know, as a supervisor, it's been like, okay, well, this is how I would do it. So this is
Mhm.
how I expect somebody else to do it. And then when they do it a different way, you're kind of like, oh, that's not how I would have done it. But then like, or you might even try to get them to change it back, be like, okay, I see where you're going there. But what if you did it? And then again, they're not going to grow and learn. So sometimes it's that like, okay, sitting back and saying, well, how do you think we should handle this?
Mhm.
Or what would you do if you were in charge here? And I think that's kind of what you've done with her. And I think that even if she did want to go a different direction, I think that you're at a place where you'd be like, okay, let's talk about that. Let's see what we
Yeah.
can do. And then that alleviates some of the burnout too, because it builds more of the trust and empowerment in other people.
Yeah. Leading by example and then letting them lead their next group.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like, my friend, Coach Mark, how he often talks about, trusting the players. Like everybody has the position they play, they've got the
Mhm.
fundamentals, they want the same thing. And so, like, even if they do something a little bit different, because it's going to help the whole team and it's going to go towards their goal of winning, then that's still fine. And I think when you have people like that, like the other teacher you have, she still wants you to be successful. She wants the studio to be successful. So even though she may not do it exactly the way you would do it, because you guys have the same goals and the same fundamentals and working towards that, making the studio what it is, I think it kind of works like you guys are like your own little team.
Yeah. I love
I
that
love that.
view.
You're right. I love that
I love that
too.
view.
So let's see. Hmm, What's one thing listeners could try this week if they think they're doing fine but feel empty inside?
Step outside and ground yourself. Like not to be like, "Ooh, we
Right?
just need to go outside for a moment." But there is something about just going outside and breathing fresh air for a couple minutes that will realign your brain to just be like, you're not in fight or flight
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay to feel upset.
Well, and that's part of it too. I think the big part is being able to regulate your emotions
Mhm.
more. And what I've heard is more for anxiety, but would probably work for burnout too, is if you start to feel like you're getting to a point where you're losing control, you're too anxious, to go through your senses, like identify something you can see, something you can smell, something you can hear, something you can touch, because
Mhm.
it gets your brain focusing on doing something else instead of spiraling down the way you are. So it's kind of like you said too, like go outside, take a deep breath of air, like just
Yeah.
take a moment, like peace over chaos. Just take that step back and think about what's really important to you. And like, if you're in the middle of a situation and it seems like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever, like take a step back in like the bigger scheme of things. Like, how is this moment going to affect you next week, next month, 6 years from now?
Mhm.
Is it really that important? Like, I think sometimes we spend so much time stressing over like little things that seem big right now. And then later you look back and you're like, why did I let that bother me so much? I wasted so much time
Yeah.
worrying, wondering, planning. And it was like, for what?
Yeah. I'll even tell the kids like at the studio, like go get a drink of water and go wash your hands. Like just two tasks that they can do to just get them out of the room, get them moving and thinking about something else.
Mm-hmm. Because even just that little bit of distraction can
Mhm.
get you away. Because I've also heard if you're, going through like a panic attack or anxiety or something, if you get like a warhead or like a lemon head, like something sour, it can sometimes trigger something in your brain. Or
Yeah.
I've heard like imagine a pink elephant. And like because your brain has to work on like envisioning something that's not natural in nature, it takes again the focus away from whatever was kind of getting you reeling.
Yeah.
So, well, any closing thoughts on burnout or anything else you would like to share about?
I think something that people should know is like it's normal to get stressed out, but
Hmm.
you don't have to keep piling that stress on top of it. Your list doesn't have to keep getting longer and you don't have to handle it on your own.
Yeah, you can open your soda bottle a little and
Yeah.
have some of the pressure come. Have somebody take a
Yeah.
sip from your soda bottle and like alleviate the pressure so that it's not so built up
Yeah.
and that you're going to explode.
I like our soda theory.
I know. I was gonna say, I don't know if that analogy totally goes like, so have somebody take a sip out of you. Not physically. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, like, you take some of your load.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you're right. And it goes back to other topics we've talked about performing And social media, like, you don't have to be perfect. It's okay to
Mhm.
tell people you need help. It's okay to admit to yourself that you need help, that you're not okay, and that it would be better for you to ask for help or to tell somebody what's going on than to do permanent damage to yourself by bottling it all up and thinking you can do more than you can on your own. So, well, this has been great, Emily. As always, pleasure having you here. And I look forward to our next conversation and our next brilliant thing that we come up with together.
Maybe we'll talk about something fun soon.
I'm sure we will. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for spending this time with me. I hope this conversation made you feel a little less alone. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk with you soon.